Hi, I'm Caroline, and I've created a lot of things, but mostly I've created a life I love. Join me on my journey as a podcaster, business owner, and mom as I try to create all the things. Welcome to the Caroline Creates podcast. Hey everyone. So I get asked this question a lot, and I thought it would be really fun to tackle. This will probably be a quick little episode, but let's chat about if you should bleep curse words or not bleep curse words. To bleep or not to bleep? That is the question. So first of all, I want to say that a lot of this is like personal preference. If you like to let one fly every once in a while, or maybe more than every once in a while, let me preface this by saying, like, I don't use a lot of curse words, but like I do use them in my everyday life. Like, it's not foreign to me to let one fly. So it's no big deal for me to hear them. So it's no big deal for me to hear my clients using them. It doesn't bother me one bit. But I know that a lot of people feel like they have to be sensitive about it, or maybe they don't. I don't know. So anyways, so a lot of this is personal preference. So if you feel like you're going to have people cursing on your podcast, you're going to say a lot of curse words. I hope curse words is the right way to say this. The first thing I would tell you to do is to mark your whole podcast as explicit. Don't bother with going through and doing each episode. Just mark your whole podcast as explicit. If you feel like it's going to be a once in a while thing, you can mark each individual episode as explicit. And I feel like this right here kind of takes care of the bulk of the issues with having curse words in your podcast. Make sure that you're marking it correctly. Is it explicit? Is it not? You can even mark it as clean. This is going to help people know if they should listen to it with little ears around or not, or if maybe their own ears would want to hear it. Okay. So that's kind of the first thing. Now let's dive into, like, should you use a bleep noise or not in your podcast? I personally hate the bleep noise in podcasts. I just think it's so jarring to the ears, and I don't like to hear it when I'm listening. I would rather them just say the dang word. It's not my favorite thing to use, and I don't like to use them for my clients. And I've had a couple clients ask me about them, and one client, we even tried it and then like hated the way it sounded. We felt like it took away from the actual content. And so we took it out and actually just edited the words out, which is something that you can do as well. And then I had another client take a really great approach to it in that we used a creative sound for her bleep noise. So instead of it being the kind of noise, it was I think it was a party hat, or no, like a party horn or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so it's kind of a funny sound. If you do decide that you want to use a bleep noise, please find something that is not going to be jarring, and have your editor make sure that the volume of it is brought down. That way it is seamless. Now, if you don't want that noise to cut in and mess up the flow, then I would highly suggest just cutting the words out or the phrases. You could even do a pause of some kind. I just think there are other ways to do it. The whole point of this is that it really is a personal preference, because I believe, and I could be totally wrong, and granted, this is just my opinion, and I'm sure somebody else will feel differently, but like, I really believe that if, I'm listening to a podcast and I see that it's marked as explicit, I'm not going to play it in front of my kids. Okay. I'm not, but I also know to look for those things. And so some other ways that you could handle this is at the beginning of your episode, putting a little disclaimer. So right away before it starts playing, you can say, hey, on this episode, it got lively. We've got some curse words. You might not want to play this around young ears. But this can also be said for a topic that perhaps is adult in nature and shouldn't be heard by everybody in the universe. You also might want to consider doing a disclaimer. And that's really going to help kind of alleviate this whole bleep or not bleep, make sure you mark it correctly, that kind of thing. the other thing is too, is like you want to think about when you're marking your podcast explicit or not explicit, is that also, pertains to the content. And a lot of times, like, we will mark our episodes as explicit just because we don't want, sometimes that stuff just flies. We'll just start randomly talking about something that's inappropriate. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, like, we don't want to have to worry about it and just have it marked as explicit. So we do that for sure. Now, if curse words are something that are going to be used a lot in your podcast, you have to understand that your audience is got to be the type of audience who wants to hear that. And that's totally okay. And those people will find you and they will be fine with it. So my encouragement to you is to not worry so much about the beep noise, but to think more about the overall picture and other things that you could maybe do to alleviate. And if one flies every once in a while and you don't want to mark it as explicit, make sure that beep is a nice, soothing, not jarring beep. That way, when people are driving their cars, they don't jump. And that is my answer to the question, to bleep or not to bleep. I hope this helped you guys out a little bit. It was really fun to kind of talk about this because I've been thinking about it a lot. I've had a lot of questions about it. If you have any questions about podcasting or a specific question that you would like me to cover on the podcast, feel free to email me, hello@carolinecreates.com. And I will be back with a new episode next week. Bye, guys. Before you go, please head to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. I would love to hear from you. And to learn more about me and follow along my journey, head to www.carolinecreates.com. There you can also listen to episodes, watch YouTube videos, and find out more about my podcasting services. Thanks so much. Have a great day.